we're talking about shit. Hey everyone, welcome back to Coach Quip. I'm Coach Robyn.
I'm Coach Chris.
We have been waiting for this episode. 192, we're talking about shit.
Yeah, we're talking shit. I love it. Like, so many jokes about that. This is the topic that every single runner I have ever coached, that I've ever run with, has a poop story, talks about poop, thinks about poop way more than my non-running friends.
Oh, definitely. People are like TMI. I'm like, there's literally no TMI.
No, not with runners.
No, we talked a lot heading into this about stories, and like there isn't too much because it's the equalizer. So whether you're like a newbie or a lifelong pro, tummy issues, digestive issues, poop issues, that this can derail your run, your race, way faster than something like a twisted ankle. So it's like this mysterious thing that we all deal with. Today, we're going to get real about it. We're going to talk about, poop. We're going to talk about runner's trots. We're going to talk about pre-race anxiety, and how to fuel your body without really upsetting your gut, because that is it is the worst. And just know that if you're tuning in, everybody's had this problem. You are one of all of us, not one and alone dealing with this.
Yeah, so in this episode, we are going to give you some actual strategies to empty before your training or your racing, and talk about why this happens. So let's talk about how running turns our digestive system into a little tornado.
A little bit of a ticking time bomb.
Yeah. So when you run, your body goes into survival mode. All of your blood is directed away from your digestive system into your legs and the working muscles to keep you moving. So your muscles, your heart, your lungs all get that energy that the digestive system would have gotten if you weren't running.
Right, and then that shift in blood flow, because it's not in your tummy necessarily, is what can trigger what we love to call runner's diarrhea, or runner's runs. Those like surge. I mean, it's real though. Like, it's the worst, and you're just like, oh my god, I'm out here with no one around, or hopefully no one around. But you have those sudden, like, urgent mid-run. Oh my god, I have to go right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, and part of that is due to the physical jostling and bouncing of your body as well. So your organs are literally shaking. You are hitting the ground with how many times your body weight?
2 to 3 times.
2 to 3 times of your body weight, slamming your organs around and slamming your bladder and your intestines around as well.
Then we have fun things like hormones, right? So stress hormones, particularly cortisol, or honestly women in certain phases of their cycle, you can have quite a hormonal spike during especially intense exercise. So the harder the run, sometimes the more the hormonal surge. And that is going to signal, and can signal, that, woo, I gotta poop.
And gotta go now.
Yeah, now, all caps.
Yeah, that level of urgency. But here's something that might surprise folks. So your gut's permeability actually changes during exercise. And that means that the barrier between your digestive system, your digestive tract, and the rest of your body becomes more permeable, which can loosen stools and create that urgent bathroom situation.
I mean, not that you all want to hear about me pooping, but you're going to. It is crazy though sometimes when you have this happen, and it can be so bad that you almost you get shaky, you break out in a sweat. And part of that is like anxiety thinking about it. And the other part of it is like your body is trying to get rid of something that it desperately wants to get rid of.
Right.
So that got to go. Like, we joke about it, but if you've ever had this like really, really, really bad, it is horrible. It's a horrible feeling. And then after, you feel much better. I mean, like, it's such an A-B sign of like your body is going through something. Just let it freaking get rid of what it needs to get rid of, and then you will be able to move on with the rest of your workout or race, which we'll get to. It's also crazy how intensity really does play a role here. I remember pre-Edge, I would work out. My building had like a gym in it, and I would save my lunch hour and work out at like 2 p.m. And I, at the time, was doing the first training method for like BQ, where you run very intense weekday runs and then very easy long runs. So few frequency means your intensity is dialed up a lot, right? That's kind of the protocol for that training methodology. And I was doing, I don't know if it was a speed or a tempo, but I mean, definitely the hardest I've ever worked on a treadmill in my life. And I liked the one in the corner, in the far corner of this gym. I was probably 2/3 of the way through, and I had a oh my God, I have to go right now. And I vividly remember walking as fast as I possibly could through this very swanky gym. And I got into the stall, and I'd never had this happen at that time before, but I was like pale, and I was completely covered in sweat. Like my body, I was like 10 out of 10, I'm going to poop my pants. 100% triggered by running and whatever I probably stupidly ate for lunch in my 20s before that type of a run. But I mean, I like my clothes, you could have wrung them out. And then after I was able to kind of completely reset and just dump and then get on with what needed to be done. But I think I shocked the shit out of myself with that, right? I was like, what just happened? But, it all makes sense now. But at the time, so even in a gym setting, you're not necessarily safe from it.
Yeah, but the gym setting, as a little pro tip, if this is something that you encounter, like treadmills can be your best friend.
Yeah.
There was a period of time after I got sick from racing an Ironman where I got some sort of stomach intestinal thing that really was causing me a lot of distress for about 18 months. That I was on this treadmill up front, even on the most beautiful of days, because I needed to be close to a bathroom just in case. So.
We will never question a runner that gets off those treads and runs to the bathroom. We won't question it. We'll just be like, you do you, boo.
Yeah, there's no fast walking for me. That is just straight
you're running.
All right, well, runner's diarrhea is most common in long-distance runners, and this makes sense, right? Because the longer that you're out there, the more that these factors compound. Your stress levels, your hormones, your bouncing and jostling of your stomach, and the fact that you have to be taking in nutrition to continue to do your run, all of these factors combine. So studies show that up to 30 to 50% of runners experience some form of gastrointestinal distress during or after
I'm
running.
calling BS on that.
It's way more.
Way more. People just aren't talking about, or they're not copping up to it. That is like 100%.
It's got to be. I mean, if you are the rare person who can eat whatever you want, go out for runs, never have an issue going to the bathroom before your runs or before your races, and you never have upset stomach during or after, you are a unicorn.
Yeah. I don't think you actually exist. Sorry.
If that's you, you need to let us know, because we don't believe that you're out there.
The good news is that a lot of it is manageable with the right protocol. And if you're open to talking about this with people in your run groups, go for it. Otherwise, tune in, take notes, and then share with them, because this is the thing that bonds us 100%.
Yeah. Let's talk about that pre-race poop protocol, or even your pre-long run, just pre-run in general, because no runner likes to go out feeling like they haven't emptied, right?
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, even if you have and you're just thinking that you haven't like fully gone to the bathroom, it's a horrible feeling to start your run. So how do you make sure that you empty the tank before you get out there on race day or in your training?
First up, let's talk about the night before, right? There are things that we can do the day and the night before that's really going to help you prep to be able to get your poops out. Versus, like, please, we know this, but don't experiment with new restaurants or new dishes. This is something I might have done, 20-year-old Robyn might have done. We're going to avoid spicy stuff, right? Because unless, like, that is literally something you do all the time and that is your baseline and you know that you can tolerate it, don't do it. Fiber bombs, anything green and leafy that comes from a head vegetable, maybe don't do that the night before. I would even argue the day before, especially long stuff. Like, you are just creating a scenario where you might have to poop your pants. We're going to stick with super familiar, easily digestible foods, so simple carbohydrates, things like rice or oats, pasta with a super light sauce, or a plain baked potato or sweet potato as your carb source. That's great. I still eat vegetables, but I'm a lot more likely to do like a root veggie, right? Like a carrot that isn't, again, going to be like a fiber bomb. And of course, we love a protein moment, right? So the ones that you've tested and tried and true. This is not surprising, but we're going to say avoid alcohol, right? The night before. It can be dehydrating, and we know that it might help with your sleep onset, but it is going to F up the rest of your sleep. So just, you need your sleep before your long stuff, especially definitely before the races.
Check out our episode about alcohol for more information on how alcohol impacts you as a runner. We'll put the link in the comments below.
You can just swap it out with a hot water or something fun, right? And then this one, I actually didn't know, is avoiding artificial sweeteners. Many of them can act as laxatives, which we don't need any help in that arena.
Yeah, also be careful because a lot of our energy gels can have some of these artificial sweeteners in them. So see what's in your packaging. And of course, you want to make sure that you are testing your fuel that you'll be using in your runs. And you know, we understand that part of testing your fuels means that you might have disaster pants at some point in your training,
Yeah.
right? The only way that you will know if a certain food is going to irritate your stomach is to have that food and like find out the hard way. So, you know, we're talking about the night before, and if we're using this in just thinking about racing, then that's one thing, right? That's like one day out of a month or one day out of every couple of weeks if you're racing 5Ks or something. Or if you're a marathoner, it might be like one day in 4 months, right?
Right.
But if you're thinking about this in terms of I have a hard tempo, a hard speed, I want to make sure I'm not eating this stuff before. We're not saying like don't go to restaurants or don't eat leafy vegetables. You absolutely should, but you need to be seeing what works for you over time. And this is why we always say note things down in your training journal. And you know, you can test like, is a salad at lunch the day before a long run going to upset my stomach? Maybe not, but maybe at dinner it would. Yeah, try it out and experiment.
We had an athlete that loves the antique taco salad. If you've not had the antique taco salad, it's super good.
It is good.
You can get it with tofu. You can get it with, I like it with pork. You can get it with chicken. They rotate out the fruit that they put in it. But we will frequently get this salad together. On a rare occasion, I can actually finish it, but usually it's a 2-mealer. And, you know, we did it a couple times, and then she was the one that said, oh man, day after you have an antique taco salad poop. Like you will have a giant poop. And I was like, that's a great point. Like this is going to be what we do before maybe a recovery run day, but I'm not going to do that before a long tempo push. I'm definitely not going to do that before a session I'm coaching. Right. So now we have to periodize the antique taco salad, which is a wonderful salad, but this is not what you want before, you know, something that you might be stranded at. If you know what I mean.
All right, let's talk about our morning of then, our morning of our long run or of our race or whatever session that you're going out to. The first thing is to give yourself a little time in the morning. So you might need to wake up earlier than you think you need to if you're a person that requires a little extra time to get your gut going. We know that there are people out there who are just super regular that no matter what, they wake up and 10 minutes later, they're on the toilet emptying. And that's
not
it.
me.
And bless those people. That is truly a gift.
I hate them a little bit, though.
Like a little bit of jealousy, right? But you have to give your body time to naturally do its thing. For some people, caffeine can help. So caffeine will stimulate bowel movements for most people. Warm fluids can also help. So if you're a tea drinker or just drinking warm water in the morning can help stimulate your digestive tract and get you to go.
What is your version of naturally doing its thing? Like, what do you have to trick your body to do? For me, I'll tell you mine. You don't have to.
Yeah.
I have to. I'm a coffee girl, 100%. First thing that maybe I'll drink like the glass of water that's by there first, but then
I have
baby.
to sit.
Usually, if
You've
I
gotten
sit
out of
it
that.
out there, it's there usually 9 times out of 10. But if my thing is, I just need like 5 to 10 minutes. My chance of pooping is going to be 5 to 10 minutes with coffee, but I have to sit still. I can't like try to be productive. I can't be feeding the dogs and drinking coffee. It's like I just need 5 to 10 minutes of sitting and drinking coffee and checking whatever on my phone.
Wordle and connections, and then you go.
Oh, yeah. That's it, basically. But it's good to like know that. I was like, okay, I have to sit still with this in order to make it happen. Take note of those things. Like what is giving your body, time to naturally do it? What does that mean for you? Because it means something very different for me than it does for Brian, right?
Right, yeah, and I've gotten in the habit of drinking a Yeti of warm water in the morning.
That's right, you say you're a warm water.
Part of that is just I don't drink enough water, I know. And if I don't get the 32 ounces in right at the jump, then I'm going to be in rough shape. But your body needs water and hydration to eliminate. And so that is instant, like, it's like you're just giving it, I don't know, it's like think about hosing off a sidewalk, right? Like you are flushing the water through and that's going to help. That's how it works in my mind anyway.
Hot water, you heard it here first.
Yeah, warm water is great. I mean, but it could be tea, it could be coffee. I was a very heavy coffee drinker and have pulled back on that a little bit. So
What's in that cup?
This is coffee, but this is
Oh.
all the coffee I've had today.
Really?
Yeah, look at that. And it's still 3/4 full. So
That is not my status.
that is, but essentially it speaks more to my lack of hydration than
It's
my
impressive.
desire to drink coffee. Another option for you in the morning, especially on race morning, is to do a light little shakeout jog. And so I don't think a lot of people, like on your long run, you're not going to run for 15 minutes, come back home and poop, and then go out for your long run, most likely. But on race day, this is something that could help out. So doing that light little 10 to 15 minute easy warm-up jog can help you stimulate movement in your body. And it's just a good way to warm up first of all, but get everything going so that you can eliminate before you get to the race corral. Or even if you're at the race, just doing that little run around, hit the bathroom line, and then you're ready to go.
That's what, honestly, I have a lot of runners that build this into their pre-race plan. Like
Really?
I have a poop section. So
Yeah.
they will most of them will try to go at home,
Yeah.
but then they have like an insurance poop where it's like, because there's also, I sometimes go twice in the morning, like,
Yeah.
10 minutes apart or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But if I go once, then I know that I'm going to have a little warm up and a chance, and we bank in that porta potty time so that if they do pee or poop, whatever, you have the ability to have that time before you get into your corral. And that really, I don't think a lot of times they do poop that second time, but the fact that we banked it in takes a lot of the pressure away.
Yeah, that's great. Let's talk about breakfast. So that breakfast routine, morning of, we've already given ourselves time in the morning, drink some warm water or coffee, but you have to eat at some point to fuel your run. So what should that look like?
We know our general rule of thumb is 2 to 3 hours before start time. Do I think that that's realistic for, a 6 a.m. run in the summer? No. But even if you get 1 hour before, take it, right? It's going to give your body just enough time to hopefully digest and poop, right? And something's always better than nothing. So before, as a side note, we're heading into summer training. We're straight in it, right? People will be like, I couldn't eat 2 hours before, so I just didn't eat. I would rather you eat half a bagel driving the 15 minutes to the long run and have that in your tummy than nothing. So, again, something's always better than nothing. In an ideal world, we would look at like 2 to 3 hours, but, give yourself, at some point, test it out to be giving yourself enough time to digest and eliminate. Your breakfast, as we know, it should be ideally some super easily digestible carbs with a little bit of protein, right? A moderate amount of protein. So having like oatmeal with a banana, a bagel with a thin layer of peanut butter, or maybe we even put some banana on that, or toast with honey. Mm-hmm. Any of those things are really easy to get down. And I don't know, I have a hard time eating in the morning. Like, I have eaten today, but I kind of made myself eat, and it's 10:30. If you're like me, just again, something is better than nothing. We don't need a whole frickin' plate of food, but write it down.
And these are things that you can prep in advance too. So something like overnight oats, you could take that and eat that on your way to the long run, like you said. Yep. Peanut butter and jelly sandwich or Uncrustables work. You have to find what works for you, but there are plenty of options that help you get in a little something, like more than a gel, but not so much that's a full meal. We're not talking like multiple eggs, bacon, sausage.
Don't eat the 5-stack at IHOP.
No big breakfast.
That's for after.
Exactly.
And then fiber, right? A lot of times people don't know how much fiber is in things. So one, check your labels, because even like I've caught some like the not ready to eat, but like the cups of oatmeal, and they'll have like a pretty big amount of fiber in them too, because as a standalone it is good to have. It's not that we don't like fiber, it's just that we want to keep it to a minimum before a race or specifically a long run. Those nutrients, they're going to be a lot slower to digest, and they're going to be a lot more likely to cause cramping and bathroom stops, because they are literally trying to move things along. That's already happening, so it's like amplifying it. So save that high fiber breakfast for your rest days. Again, we love fiber. Fiber's super good for you, super good for your colon, but you just don't want to bomb yourself the day before or the morning of when you're needing to go longer.
All right, and then that final thing that we use to top up before we go on that long run or race, in that 30 to 60 minutes before, having a light high carb snack or a gel can be really helpful just to top up your energy stores. Some people use natural foods like bananas or dates or that peanut butter and jelly. A lot of people use a gel or a sports drink. You have to find what works for you. But again, this is something that wouldn't impact your stomach immediately, but right. Halfway through your run could interrupt things. Yep. So again, something tried and true for you.
And, little pro tip, which, we've said this kind of already, but scope out the bathroom situation at your race venue ahead of time. A lot of times the plans are going to, this is again where my athletes write in their warm up and then the pit stop, they know kind of which one row that they could target. So know where the porta potties are before and then of course during. Mm-hmm. One of the best pro tips for our Chicago Marathon preview, do you remember this one? I think it was Mike Brown said, if you have to go to the bathroom, do not use the first bathroom porta potty set that you see on the course. Wait until mile whatever it is, 3 or 4. Yep. You're going to be able to have, if you can hold it, you're going to be able to have it a much faster and much probably cleaner experience. So knowledge alone of where you can poop on the course can really reduce anxiety, and it can help prevent pre-race and race day stomach issues because you can kind of anticipate and have more power over it.
Yeah, and I'll take that another step further. On your training runs, you want to scope out where the bathrooms and water fountains are along your course. So for here, if you're running along the lakeshore, knowing that there's a stop at North Avenue that you could stop at, but the next bathroom isn't going to be until however far up. So knowing the stops that you could potentially make along your route, or even like where are the Starbucks that you could pop into, or the coffee shops if you were in an emergency. Living in cities, I feel like we do this naturally. Yeah. Just like being out. When I lived in New York City, I was like, where can I go to the bathroom? Like if I'm out in the world, there aren't public restrooms that are just out in the, there are some parks, but like they're few and far between. So if you're on such and such a street, what is the business that you could stop in if you had to go? Yeah, it is a real thing though. You got to plan it out. And I think that when people like even meet up for long runs on Saturdays, if their tummy is feeling funky to begin with, it causes a lot of anxiety because if we're doing, a 5-mile loop and they're going to be in no man's land for 4 of those miles, that is terrible. So if you're at an edge run, I mean, honestly, and you don't feel comfortable like asking your group, pull the coach aside and just flag us down and we will help you with that because we can be discreet, right? But also like you also kind of need to know what your options are. Yeah. Have you ever been on a run where there are no bathrooms around and you kind of have to go and you are just looking at all of the scenery being like, yep, I could pop behind that bush. Yep, here's a wall coming up. Yep, maybe I absolutely. Could go. Yeah. No, absolutely. Because I'm a big believer of like, if you think about it over and over and over, and especially if it's getting progressively worse, for me personally, I'm just much better to get creative and go somewhere, right? And versus having to think about it and having it just like percolate, because that mental energy, not to mention the physical discomfort of trying to hold something in. For me, I am not a modest person. I grew up as a ballerina and a swimmer and a runner. Like I do not care what you see, but it's just much better for me personally to just run that risk and be able to feel much better after. But I don't think that all groups should do that. I agree. Be discreet. Yeah. So let's delve in a little bit deeper of fueling without destroying your gut. And if you want to delve even deeper, go back to episode 191 where we talked about training your gut. Like this is like a real thing, right? We can very, very much prepare our bodies to be able to digest food and not completely blow up our GI tract while we train. So the key word here is consistency. Your gut, your tummy needs training just like your legs do. Again, episode 191. Go back and listen, please. It's a poop power pack.
It is a poop power pack.
Gut power pack. 191, not 192. If you typically eat a low-carb diet and then you flood your system with carbohydrates for your run, whether in advance or during your run, you're asking for trouble. And I would say this is probably less common. I think a lot of endurance athletes tend not to go the low-carb diet route because it's generally unhelpful for your training and your racing. But there might be some people out there who do that. So we want to make sure that we are practicing with whatever we're taking, and if carbs are part of your fueling program, you have to practice that. You have to dial that in. There is one in the middle though, metabolic efficiency training, that I know I had certification on when we first opened Edge. That one is more of like a
carb, not cycling, but it's more moderate. And if you ever do follow metabolic efficiency training, it's awesome. And in that scenario, you would give yourselves just one extra serving of carbs. It's not like a lot more. You're not going to bomb yourself. But that's because we're not in in any type of ketosis to start. So we want to gradually introduce race day fuels during training, right? Start with small amounts and build up, which usually corresponds very nicely with your mileage increasing too. Your gut will literally develop enzymes needed to process your foods and your fuel efficiently, which is pretty cool, right? So again, Robyn's not going to eat a 5 stack of pancakes. I might start with half a bagel, make sure that works, and then layer in the next run because it's going to go over an hour. Then I'm going to try a gel, right? We always want to kind of layer one thing in if we're going to be increasing our mileage or intensity.
And we had great strategies on how to do that in that episode 191, so check that out. So we talked a little bit about this already. The safest foods that you can use are those simple carbohydrates that your body can quickly convert into energy. So those are, the things that are pretty neutral and pretty light. So we have things like white rice, oatmeal made with water, not with milk, plain pasta, toast, your peanut butter and jelly sandwich, banana, things like that.
I keep it simple.
Yeah,
keep it
simple.
And then for longer runs where you need mid-race fuel, stick with what you've practiced before. So some runners do really great with things like bananas or even boiled potatoes. That's a big ultra trick. Others prefer the convenience of gels or a mix or a sports drink. There's no right answer, so only what works for your individual system. This is fun because you can actually talk to your fellow runners during runs about this and see what works for them. And then if something sounds good, again, try one, switch every run so that you know how you handle it. But I think that's where we get a lot of really great transfer of knowledge.
So we want to avoid foods in the danger zone. There are some foods that are squarely bad for everybody, like will not work for most runners unless you have an iron stomach. These are beans, those, what do you call them? Any head vegetable. Head vegetables, yes.
Cruciferous. It's all the same thing.
Yes.
A big leafy green thing coming from a head like a cabbage or lettuce or broccoli. Like if it grows in this shape, maybe not right before.
Yeah, dairy can be problematic for a lot of people, so if you are sensitive to that at all, avoid that. And spicy foods are obviously troublemakers.
I have athletes that have a lot of problems with fattier foods too, especially, like fast food, but like it really does kind of cause a lot of problems to the point where if like they like to eat tacos before, we say, okay, don't go al pastor, maybe we go chicken with not a lot of beans, and that tends to like check the box.
And then finally, hydration. We want to make sure that we are totally hydrated because that will help move things along. Practice your hydration strategy both before, so the day before, leading up to your workouts, and during your training and racing as well.
But note, especially for people that are a little bit smaller frame, overhydrating is real, right? We don't need you to become hypernatremic because you've literally diluted your bodily fluids. So we're always going to want you to increase hydration and electrolytes in tandem. So if you usually do 0 or 1 noon a day, heading into longer efforts or even race days, we're going to increase that to 2, right? Again, the key here is practicing your hydration during training, just like your nutrition. This is such a controllable variable. All right, emergency protocols. Let's talk about when, despite all your preparations, and it's probably going to happen to all of us in the next few months, despite the 30 to 50% statistic, your stomach starts rumbling at mile 3. Let's talk damage control. What are you going to do?
Yeah, so in the middle of a race or a middle of a run, first of all, don't panic, right? This happens to everyone, and being prepared can really help you sort of manage that anxiety, but stress makes everything worse. So not only does it make it like worse mentally, but physically can also make the urgency more real.
Yeah, heart rate increases, you're like, oh.
Yeah,
whoops.
The full body sweats, all of that. So if you feel that little bit of gurgle in your stomach or you're getting the sense that you're going to need to go, slow down. That's the first thing. Sometimes reducing the intensity of your run can help you make it to the bathroom.
Absolutely agree with that. I also will shift my clothing around quite a bit, especially if these are like high-waisted or mid-rise. I mean, if you have to go and it's pressing in, I mean, just moving it around so that it grips in a different spot sometimes it can buy you a little bit more time and get you a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah. We mentioned knowing your race course or your training route, so you want to know where those bathrooms are. And if you know that it's coming up, you maybe can make it there, right? Like you can mentally talk yourself through getting to that spot, or at least getting to a private bush that you can use. But knowing where your potential stops are can help lower that anxiety.
Absolutely.
As well.
Yep. And remember too, like elite athletes have this all the time. Like they will, for some reason, I feel like it happens the most in Boston. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's just because it's point to point, so like it tends to be just a little bit more visible.
Right.
But they will drop off, go to the bathroom, get back on. I mean, again, if you got to go, you got to go. It's not like you're going to hold it for 20 more miles.
Right. And I tell my runners, like, I would rather have you, and you would probably rather also take the 3 minutes to make the pit stop and not poop your pants than poop your pants and run across the finish line, because my runners aren't winning the race, right? Like, so you have to think, like, is it worth it to continue to run? I have had runners who have questioned this, like, I was on track for a PR, and if I wouldn't have made the bathroom stop, I would have hit my PR. But you also would have hit your PR with poopy pants, right? And so, like, you have to decide, is that worth it?
I don't even care about the poopy pants as much as, like, if they ran for hours uncomfortable.
Right.
For me, like, not even like poop on you, but like physically tummy hurting, holding things in that shouldn't be held in. Mm-hmm. I think that's going to affect your time way more than just going. Yeah. And then after all that pain, you poop your pants. This is not a win-win situation.
No. So just make the stop is what we're saying. Yeah. Like when you have the opportunity, and this is another thing, when you have the opportunity, sometimes you need to take that. Yeah. If you have the little rumbling in your stomach and you're like, I'm going to pass this one, I can probably hold on for a little more, or I'm in a good pace, I'm going to hold this. You never know when that urgency will increase and if you will make it to the next stop. So when you have the opportunity, take it.
Never pass up a chance to poop.
That's true.
If you are dealing with cramping or nausea, or like me in that gym where I just started like getting clammy, try slowing down your breathing, focusing on exhaling completely. It's true, we'll get into this, like, and that is not helping. Mm-hmm. So your digestive distress is sometimes exacerbated by shallow breathing and getting, high heart rate and not getting enough oxygen to your core. So it should help kind of keep you a little bit placated.
So a final pro tip here, talking about poop, is never trust a fart. Right?
Yeah.
Is that what you were going to say?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's like 1 out of 10 where you're like, ooh, it was just a fart. But like the risk of the other 9 out of 10 for me is just not worth it. And we know, we're all adults here. Like, we know when we have to poop and when we don't.
Yeah.
Definitely don't trust it. You're better off, like you said, when you have the opportunity, just take it.
You could fall into that trap of just trying to make a little extra space and have disaster pants.
It's the worst. Yeah, it's the worst.
All right. We know that talking about poop might not be glamorous, but it is something that literally every single runner thinks about if they aren't talking about it. And I would say most runners are talking about it very consistently throughout their weeks. So we thought this was an episode that needed to happen.
Oh, it's been brewing for months. Key takeaways, right? To keep your poo drama low is 1, train your gut like you train your legs. Like we know what our tummy's like. We can test it, we can replicate it, and just keep rocking that. Also, episode 191, right before this, would help you see through that.
Number 2, practice your race day nutrition and that night before nutrition so that you can lock it in.
Next up, we're broken records here, but practice those pre-race meals, right? Keep it simple and familiar and know that you have complete control over it.
And remember, sometimes nature calls and you just have to stop during a race or during a training run, and that is A-okay. It is better to get rid of it than to carry it with you.
If you found this helpful, share it with your running buddies along with the poop emoji. We actually held this calendar
with poop
emojis. So trust me, they are 100% thinking about this stuff too, even if they won't admit it. So we really hope that something in here has contributed to your poop knowledge. So thanks for talking shit with us. Until next time, may all your bathroom breaks be well timed.